Hello, faithful! Welcome to a brand new top 10 video here on Heaven's Metal Streaming Radio. Haven's Top 10 coming up next. Welcome, faithful, to a brand new show, Heaven's Metal Streaming Radio. If you caught the earlier video, you know we have rebranded the White Throne Metal Station to Heaven's Metal Streaming Radio. Just so you know, all the older videos will continue to say White Throne Metal Radio. There's no reason to change that. But from now on, it is branded as Heaven's Metal Streaming Radio. Don't forget to check us out, Live 365. If you like what we do here and you like the video, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Today, I want to talk to you about a little known, frankly, heavy metal band from New Jersey. They released 2 albums and then a 3rd album independently, which ultimately came out and got issued a couple years back by Retroactive. But we're talking about, of course, Haven. Haven. Oh yeah, Haven and all the glare. Okay, there you go. I've got all 3 of them. 2 of them I have. The first 2 I have on CD. The 3rd one I have digitally. Was a review copy. So let's, Haven formed 1988, 1989. They signed to REX back in the day. The first album was Your Dying Day, which Retroactive Records reissued. First it was M8, then Retroactive. Of course, this was on the REX label at the time. And then the follow-up, that album came out in 1990. The follow-up album came out, 2 years later? 1 year later in 1991, Age of Darkness. A bit darker, moodier, at times a little more melodic, I suppose. The reissue here from Retroactive a few years ago, remastered and all that fun stuff. What do Haven sound like? They sound like a heavy metal band, frankly, at proggy at times. We're talking Kevin Ayers, lead vocals. His vocal range on these albums hits the stratosphere, but it's kind of this raspy, Scott Waters described it like an extreme vocal of John Arch, if you know him from Fate's Warning. But Ayers had a more raspy tone in his voice, and to me it lended a lot of power to the music they were doing. We also had guitar work on these albums from Andrew Bruner. I believe brother Ed Bruner also played bass. And then I'm going to tell you, and then Tim Benton on drums on these records. The thing that is a little elusive to me is I also understand, and is Carlos J. Citron also played lead guitar on some parts. But it doesn't appear, and of the information I'm just kind of going back through, this is one of these things. There's the albums. There's just not a lot of info that I can dig up readily. So I'm sure some of the guys in the band at some point will probably see this video and say, nope, that was wrong. Nope, that was right. Fine. It's okay. I just want to make sure everybody got credit. Again, Kevin Ayers, lead guitar, at vocals, some guitars. I know he wrote a lot of the songs as well. Andrew Bruner on guitar. Ed Bruner on bass guitar. And then John Farrell also played guitar. Was it on Age of Darkness? John Farrell leads and, classical guitar. And then that's where it's a little cryptic to me through some of my internet musings. And of course, the 3rd Haven album, which is simply called Haven. It was independently recorded. It was released independently by Kevin Ayers. Most of it was done by Kevin himself. but the other members of the band, as I understand, did contribute in parts. It's also available on CD. All of these albums have had their limited run vinyls and this kind of thing. So if you're into collecting that stuff, you can find it. Get it soon because it won't last long. So top 10 songs. Let's get cracking. Coming in at number 10, off of the third Haven album, opening track, Haven.
And for my punishment, the sun was sent to shelter me.
Song to me struck me always a bit more melodic. It's got a nice hook to it, and just it's a solid track. It fits well in the Haven catalog. That third album had a little more of a praise element to it lyrically. It's not, that's not a negative. It just a little different take at times. Coming in at number 9, off of the second album, Age of Darkness, Holly.
I know all the tears you cried, our precious but fallen child, still his arms are open wide. Holly, you've always been lonely, so far away. Holly, you always said only through eyes of mine.
Moody, heavy. The Age of Darkness album has a definite theme dealing with the occult in it. Holly is it doesn't fit totally in that, but if you tie it in with some of the other lyrical themes, somebody who maybe messed with the occult, perhaps, it's a great song. Holly comes in at number 9. Coming in at number 8, off of the debut Your Dying Day, I Found Love.
I'm looking for a life I can't take anymore. Take anymore. I want love. I want life. I can't take anymore. Take anymore. I want love.
Kevin Ayers just hits the stratosphere at times on that song. Again, straightforward. It's got a nice, heavy tune, a good hook. A lot of the stuff, to me, that ends up being kind of memorable, it's got to have some kind of hook to it. And some of the ones Haven came up with were quite good. Coming in at number 7, off of the Age of Darkness album, Divination. Now, Divination is technically, it's not the first song on the album. There's a small intro, but it's the first full-length tune on that album. It's heavy. It's driving. A lot of signatures, time changes in that song. Divination. It's a heavy tune. There was some talk about this album at times being kind of having some influence from King Diamond's Abigail album, perhaps. I was never a huge King Diamond fan myself. I know that shocks many metalheads, I'm sure, but I just had a hard time lyrically, and then just not a big fan of his voice. So anyway, enough about that. But Divination, it's an opener. It's kind of a pile driver. It's got great drum work. A good song comes in there at number 7. Coming in at number 6, and let me say this too as we go through this list. These are 10 favorite songs. It's not like one song is necessarily better than the other, but we do these countdowns, and so c'est la vie. Coming in at number 6 off of Your Dying Day, the barn burner called Escape. That song to me just rips. Keven is just belting it out vocally. I've always, it's one of those songs where if you don't have the lyric sheet or something in front of you, you're going to get lost. The way a lot of the production value was, more reverb, more depth, you can get lost in some of that stuff. But Escape, that's one of those songs, because I've always been a fan, frankly, of the screamers. Not yellers per se. And when I say screamers, that melodic but heavy, raspy, higher end, I dig it. And this is one of those songs. Escape off of Your Dying Day. Coming in at number 5 off of Age of Darkness, Seance. Now that song rips. There's several signatures. There's several time changes. Tempo, great guitar work on that song. It's a heavy, heavy tune all the way around. Definitely deserves to be in the top 10. Coming in at number 4 off the debut album, the title track, Your Dying Day. Another barn burner, another screaming bullet of a song, and it just a brilliant climax to close that record. I totally, this was a record I would play often back in the day. It doesn't get as much love these days, I think, from metalheads in general. There is a power metal element to that. All 3 of those records. There's a power metal element, which kind of falls in and out of favor. I always did enjoy that song. Your Dying Day comes in at number 4. Coming in now at number 3 off of Age of Darkness, an epic song, I think. It's called The Witching Hour. that song doesn't get you moving and your blood pumping and just everything about it, it's again a haunting bit of heavy metal whimsy, just absolutely vocals in the stratosphere, intricate instrumental work throughout, guitars, bass, drums, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. The Witching Hour comes in at number 3. Down to the final 2. And number 2 is the opening song off the debut album, On Judgment Day. This is the song, On Judgment Day.
Standing before the throne, all of us judged according to what we had done. I turned from the light that showed the way, never cross our path. If I would have believed the toll I'd pay, convicted of sin on Judgment Day. On Judgment.
It's one of the. It's not a fast tune, but it's again great hook, great guitar playing, and to me, it's one of those songs I'll go back and revisit, go back and revisit, go back and revisit. Definitely deserves to be in the top 10. A solid track all the way around, a great intro. What does Haven sound like? Play On Judgment Day off the debut, and that kind of gives you a pretty good snapshot. Coming in now at number 1. This has always been my favorite Haven song, and part of it's because it's a fast song than most of the other stuff. It's a little more straightforward, so it grabbed me more quickly. And again, Kevin Ayers' vocal absolutely scorches on this song. Love the guitar solo. I'm talking about Below the Grave.
Below the grave.
What a brilliant heavy metal song. Absolutely brilliant. It's driving. It's got everything you want. Like I mentioned earlier, the vocal, the guitar, great drums. Some people would probably say, well, there's too much reverb. It needs to be scaled back. Perhaps in production, it is a product of its time. And it doesn't mean it's bad. That's what records sounded like 30 years ago, and there's nothing wrong with it. I grew up through the 80s. From 1980 to 1993, I was listening to all kinds of stuff. Then I got married, went to Bible college, and all that other stuff, and, But, when I heard this stuff, when I heard that song, it's a great heavy metal song. Below the Grave comes in at number 1. So what are your top 10 Haven songs? Maybe you're not familiar with them. Perhaps this little introduction to the band, you're going to want to dig into that catalog. You only have 3 albums to choose from. And I'd start with the first 2. Either one of the first 2. And take it from there. Don't forget to check out Heaven's Metal Streaming Radio. Give us a like if you like the video. Help us beat this YouTube algorithm so we're not stuck in obscurity forever. Don't forget to check out Heaven's Metal Magazine. We're online. And as we often say, until next time, don't forget to say your prayers, and God bless.